Welcome back. Well, now we're talking health matters, and Dr. Tajuddin Sanusi, the Registrar of Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, joins us next. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today on the program. Well, yes, indeed, a lot going on in the health sector, particularly as it has to do with doctors. The NARD are on strike at the moment, and they listed several demands, part of which does concern your office. And in fact, let's let you listen to what the NARD president did say when he was on the program last time out.
The MDCN registrar, Dr. Sanusi, is brought to book. Then I think this process would have been all good without going on a strike. I'll tell you why. You can't, because of some laws, say you are going to adhere to quota system. You are giving a teaching hospital like FITA 12 house officers when they have more than 1,000 beds. You are giving a place like UCH like 24 house officers. There should be consequences. That's why as NAD we are asking for his resignation, or he should be sacked. Because you cannot allow house officers of 2,136 to be on the street demonstrating because of his failure. It's an irresponsible thing. In good places, you resign honorably. House officers in tertiary hospitals. Or let me go back. There's a central polling system. The central polling system is supposed to be like the NYC when you pass and you are pulled into the system. One system failure. Now, we are saying we are doing a central polling system when you are only accommodating those in federal. What about those in state? You are doing a process, pull all together. Get all house officers that are supposed to go for their internship and distribute them to different places. When you have stopped reaccrediting hospitals and you are still living in the euphoria of the accreditation you did 10 years back, and now you tell them that they cannot get more house officers because there's a quota system, and you insist on it, and you call the doctor, Dr. Sanusi, the registrar of MDCN, to order, he doesn't even pick your call.
What do you think about that, sir?
Thank you very much for inviting me for this program. First and foremost, I think the NARD president is ill-informed about the statutory functions of council. Number one, in 2017, when the Federal Executive Council approved the centralization of housemanship program in Nigeria, every institution was collated or supposed to be involved, be it federal, state, or private. This was not to be because of the paucity of funds. In 2020, in fact, at a point, we thought this thing was not going to take off again. We were actually informed that it's in the budget of 2021. Let me take you back a bit. In 2018, we wrote to all the training institutions that they should revalidate their accreditation status, meaning that if you have 10 and you want to have more than 10, let us carry out the accreditation exercise. As at December 2020, only 4 of them responded. And if MDCN were to have actually wielded its statutory powers, then quite a lot of them will not be able to actually employ house officers. And we should all know that it's because we have problems. That is why the federal government thought it fit to centralize the old system. Before then, we'll be inundated with requests for placement, this and that. We were asked to bring our documents, figures, statistics. Any university graduating doctors in this country will normally grant license to those doctors. And from our record, nobody should be roaming about the streets. Then where did the problem actually come from? That is the question people need to ask, and they are not even asking that question. Yes, the quota we have, which the teaching hospitals have refused to revalidate, whether to get it upward reviewed or downward reviewed, is what we submitted to the budget office, and that was what was used to actually prepare the budget. So that's why I said the NARD president is ill-informed. And on the issue of calling me not picking calls, number one, I don't have his number. I don't have his name. I don't know him because by virtue of my position, I deal with registered practitioners in terms of licensing and what have you. So I don't deal with associations. Now coming on air, saying I am irresponsible. In fact, our profession is like a paramilitary. Seniority is there. Respect is there. It is highly unethical for a very junior person to be coming and disparaging a very senior person on air like this, irrespective of your position. And here is somebody who had not made any move to actually come to our office or get across to our office. Even if you cannot get me, I'm not the only person. I have deputy registrars, I have assistant registrars there. He will inform you of what is happening. So that is what I have to say for now. Maybe you have other questions to ask.
Well, he also did actually say that the Chairman House Committee on Health did try to reach you, and you didn't respond to his calls either. Was that right?
Excuse me, sir. Yes, at times when I have other responsibilities, phones, like I'm here now, anybody trying to get me cannot get me because I have to put off my phones. So the same person, when the phone was on, he called me and I picked his phone and I picked his call. So I don't know why people continue to complain.
You definitely seem like a
because
very...
I'm not the only person working there.
Right.
I'm the registrar. I have deputy registrar. I have assistant registrars.
Right.
If you don't get the registrar, try the deputy registrar. You didn't get it. You didn't try. You didn't tell anybody. You come to the air and say you call the registrar. He's not picking your call.
Well, Dr. Sanusi,
I think that statement is unfair to me.
When you said that by the virtue of your position, you don't deal with associations, are you saying you don't recognize the NARD?
I'm not saying I don't recognize NARD. I'm not saying I don't recognize it because statutorily, we have nothing to do with NARD directly. Because usually NMA is on the board of council. So if there are issues, because NARD is an affiliate of NMA, and the NMA can actually come. However, nothing stops the NARD from coming to us. Come on, MDCN, these are the things we have noticed. How are we going to solve these problems? Rather, going on air and disparaging somebody, I think it's most unfair to me.
Is it just the NARD president? Because the impression they give is that before they embark on any such decision, the neck of the association meet, and then they aggregate the position of resident doctors. And the residency program is, I believe, is significant in that health sector. So could he, if by extension, meaning that the NARD itself, resident doctors, don't understand the program itself, doesn't that then say that there's a huge communication challenge about perhaps MDCN communicating the policy to resident doctors?
Like I said, NMA is aware of all these programs. NARD is an affiliate of NMA. And I expect that if they approach NMA and they cannot even get NMA, nothing stops them from approaching MDCN, which they did not do. That is just it. And everything is already, in fact, when you look at their demand, the house officer's salary is just the minute thing. And that is where MDCN is concerned. And if you allow me to go a bit further about this house officer's salaries, in December, we met with the leadership of the Committee of CMDs and MDs, and with my management. And I appealed to them. I said, let us manage this period of transition together to the exclusion of nobody. We are expecting that within 2 weeks or 4 weeks, everything will have been sorted out. forward the names of house officers that are not likely to finish their internship by 31st December 2020, using the quota allotted to you. Then the SS1 you think you have, make a separate list. We will go to the budget office and see how that one also can be sorted out. Then, by 18th of January, only 7 out of 42 institutions had responded positively. We now have to write a reminder. By 1st week of February, 12 more people responded. 12 more institutions responded to our call, making 19. And we forwarded the 19 to the Office of Accountant General for payment. Our own is just a clearing house. The fund is not even with the MDCN. Our own is to profile. And in the process, we discovered that some people's name appear in 2 or 3 institutions. We discovered that some people are not yet licensed to practice, they are already there. We discovered again that some people have already done housemanship, their names are there. So all these things are there. And all this is just for us to actually sanitize the system and possibly eliminate quackery. I'll give you an instance. A tertiary institution engaged a house officer a couple of years ago, so to say, only to discover that that person is a quack. You see, there are many issues attached to this centralization of everything. Our own is just a clearing house. We are not the one paying. It's the Office of Accountant General is paying their salaries. Our own is to authenticate and then forward the list to the Office of Accountant General.
The comments that you have made, especially about the CMDs and MDs and the NMA, suggest that perhaps the conversations or the communication that should be going to the resident doctors is not reaching them. If you, as you said, have no direct relationship with NARD, it would suggest that the communication intended for the resident doctors from your office does not get to them. Because if NMA is represented on the board, as you said, and you have conversations with CMDs and MDs, it would suggest for this situation to have degenerated as it has, it would suggest that those communication is not getting across to them. What do you think of that?
Well, to me, I'm not a CMD. The resident doctors are directly under the purview of the CMDs and MDs in different locations, and we had discussions with them. It is their responsibility to disseminate this information downward to people that are supposed to have this information.
It then suggests, yeah, doesn't it then suggest that the CMDs may have either misrepresented or inadequately represented the MDCN to the resident doctors, for which reason the MDCN, the NARD is calling out the MDCN?
He said, I was not there when they were meeting the resident doctors. I wouldn't know what transpired between the MDs and the resident doctors. We were not called, so I wouldn't know what happened in my absence or in the absence of MDCN.
Okay,
because the resident doctors are directly working at the teaching hospitals where these CMDs and MDs superintend. MDCN is not superintending over any teaching hospital in this country, no.
Now, the position of the NARD is clear from their demands that you have seen as well. The question then is, what would you be telling them now in order to at least resolve this stalemate, which is definitely affecting many, many lives as we speak?
Thank you very much, sir. From our own end, we have resolved the issue. People are now paid. We've presented, in fact, on Friday, public holiday, my staff were in the office, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So this thing has been resolved. We forwarded the names to the Office of Accountant General. As at yesterday, I think they started receiving their alert, the house officers. That is the only issue that concerns MDCN.
So are you saying that when the NEC of the NARD said that members have been made to pass through agony for 3 months without salaries despite uninterrupted service delivery to the nation, is that the salary that you say has been paid?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just to get clarification, you mentioned... please go ahead. You can land on that.
Okay? You see, one thing people need to realize is this, or no, we advise the CMDs and MDs to stop recruitment in December. Let us mind these periods of transition so that within 2 to 4 weeks, you have sorted this issue out of people whose program is overlapping to 2021. But instead, they started recruiting more people to come into the system and now telling us we are not paying them. No, they are not being fair to MDCN.
Okay, just to be clear.
Our own is a clearing house, actually.
Right, just to be clear, you mentioned the central placement. Right, pardon me. You mentioned the central placement system. It was approved by FEC in 2017. But did you say that it didn't take off until it was appropriated for in 2021? Did I hear you right?
Yes, that is it.
So between 2017, when it was approved, it never took off up until now?
No, sir.
If you could tell us, what was responsible for that? Because for a lot of people, it was done and dusted in 2017.
I don't know. I don't know. Year in, year out, we have always made provision for it, but somewhere along the line, it will not reflect. So it still went back to where it was, I mean, in the teaching hospitals.
Now, speaking of these teaching hospitals, you said that at first only 7 responded, then 12 responded. That's a total of 19 out of 42, which means that 23 institutions have not responded any whatsoever to your demands for accreditation or for an upgrade.
As at February, first week of February.
Okay, so how many have responded now?
That was
and how many are outstanding?
They've all responded now.
Right, because, I mean, it begs the question, are you planning now to give them accreditation to increase the number of resident doctors, or at least doctors that they can take in? Because you said that some of them have excesses. How do they have excesses if they've not gotten accreditation to employ more?
Thank you very much. You see, that is the question I expect people to ask. If you have been over-employing over the years, therefore, nobody should be roaming about the street. People are not asking that question. Be that as it may, MDCN is ready for reaccreditation once they apply. They have to apply. We can't just bump on them. They have to reapply.
If I could just try to smoothen the feathers, are you saying now from now, when you see the call of the NARD president, you're going to respond, or at least even pick up a call to tell him that, well, this is what's happening and these are the areas that we're sorting it out? Is that what we're expecting from now?
We have sorted the issue of salaries. The remaining issue now is the reaccreditation for them to have appropriate number that will match the material and human resources available in those teaching hospitals and paramedical centers.
If there's corruption in the recruitment system, is this being addressed? Or who's supposed to address it?
Thank you very much, sir. You see, we are just starting. We are not pleasing, or we are not alleging there is corruption. But the thing, we have not recruited. What we did was we already have a software which was released just last week, so people can now apply online. Nobody is posting anybody anywhere. You choose 3 hospitals across the country. If there are no vacancies in any of those hospitals, the system will prompt up hospitals throughout the country where there are vacancies for you to pick one. So the issue of somebody posting somebody to anywhere is not there. No preferential treatment, no preferential posting, no.
Does quota system come in there?
The portal is live now. But
how does quota system come in? Because you spoke a lot about the quota system.
They applied for accreditation, and the quota was allotted based on available material and human resources as at the time they applied. And like I did mention, I said in 2018, we wrote to all the teaching hospitals and the federal medical centers to revalidate their accreditation status. As at December 2020, only 4 of them responded. And we have since carried out the accreditation exercise for those ones.
Well, as the regulator for the health sector, if I could just bring this on in as well, there are several questions about upholding the ethics of the profession, which MDCN is supposed to ensure that they adhere to. And many, over time, even at least now that the board has been reconstituted, they keep saying that the MDCN has got to be up and doing in that regard. You've heard a lot about that. What is your council doing about that?
Thank you very much, sir. At the moment, our medical and dental practitioner disciplinary tribunal is on, started yesterday. You see, the disciplinary organs of council are there. We have the medical and dental practitioner investigating panel, we call it IP. That is a body that is saddled with the responsibility of actually investigating or carrying out preliminary investigation into alleged professional misconduct. After the investigation, if the doctor has no case to answer, the matter ends there. However, if the doctor has a case to answer, meaning a prima facie case has been established against that doctor, then the matter is transmitted to the medical and dental practitioners disciplinary tribunal. In exceptional cases, where that doctor is found to constitute danger to public health, that doctor is suspended immediately. And once the doctor is suspended immediately, then we have to facilitate the trial within 3 months. So, since council has been reconstituted, the tribunal has been meeting regularly. This week, we started the tribunal sitting yesterday, and to run till Friday. And we have over 70 cases pending for trial, while we have over 120 cases still being investigated. The public are actually responding, and they are reporting this to our colleagues for one form of alleged professional misconduct or the other. I can tell you that in that respect, MDCN is very, very alive and up to the task.
Let me quickly ask you this. You also regulate the practice of alternative medicine in Nigeria. It will seem like we aren't even hearing their voices at all.
Thank you very much. You see, alternative medicine in Nigeria is under the purview of Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. I can tell you authoritatively that we have less than 40 of them registered by council. Most of the people you see on the street, they are charlatans. But the thing is, if there are no complaints, there's nothing we can do, especially for those who are not registered by us. It's a matter for the police to handle. When a quack is arrested, where our own is just to come in as a prosecution witness. Is this person a registered person or not? If it's a registered person, fine. If it's not, it's a matter for the police. When the thing gets to court, we'll say it again. Actually, they still use our law to actually try them, but it's not MDCN that tries those people.
I expect that you'll be at the forefront
those who are not on our register.
I understand. I mean, I expect that you'll be at the forefront of rounding off some of those people, because NAFDAC, for example, you see them carrying out sting operations, going around to ensure that, you know, people abide by the tenet. So why aren't you at that forefront? Because if we wait for someone to report, we'll probably never get anywhere.
Sir, the directors of medical services in each of the states of the Federation are all members of Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. And they are in charge of facilities in their various states. And they are like the eyes and ears of MDCN in their state. If they bring some of these things to our attention, we move in there. Of course, even if those people are caught, they are handed over to the police. Once they are with the police, we are handicapped. There's nothing we can do. It's a matter for the law enforcement agency to deal with. We are not the one going to charge them to court. It's the police.
Just one more thing. This is a tweet from one of our viewers, and he's a doctor, apparently, saying that the salary paid to house officers is short of the original amounts. There you see Dr. Delahart right there responding to the question we asked about salaries being paid. So how come the salary paid is short of the original amount?
MDCN is not in charge of salary. It's the IPs that pay the salary. So there is nothing I can say about the salary. Like I said, the fund is not with the MDCN. And you see, house officers and on comments one, So when the comments one is everything is tabulated with the IPs there, we are not the one paying. Our own is to profile, certify that this person is a house officer, is good to go, and will forward the names, and that's all. For the payment of the salaries, whatever they get is IPs.
That your duty as well is to ensure that doctors who have completed their postings, their names are not on those lists, continuing to receive salaries.
Yes.
So, if you said that there are irregularities, does that mean that you've not been doing your job?
I don't understand what I mean. Can you please come again, please?
If you say that there are irregularities in the registers and that still exists, does that, if you say the box stops at your table, it means that somebody's not been doing his job?
Excuse me, sir, get me clearly. When the names come to MDCN, what we do is to go to our record. Is this person supposed to be a house officer? If he's supposed to be a house officer, that's first step. There are some of them who have done house job and they are already on full registration. How come they go back and start house job again? It's a question that needs to be answered by people that engage them as house officers.
Okay.
So that's what we do. Like I said, in the list brought, some of them, we have their names in appearing in 3 different hospitals. So as a regulator and as the head of the regulatory body, I have a responsibility to make sure that nobody's name is duplicated and make sure that nobody whose name is not supposed to be there is there. So that's what we do.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time because we're getting a lot of comments as to hospitals, doctors, nurses who don't treat patients right, and they say MDCN, they can't reach your office. But I guess we'll have to see if we could forward those questions or comments to you so you can direct the people. What do they do? How do they get across MDCN to correct these ills? Because there's so many of them, but we do have to go. But we'll get across to you such that you can let the people know what they need to do in those cases. But we do thank you for your time this morning, Dr. Tajuddin Sanusi, Registrar, Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria.
For having me on this program and allowing MDCN to air its own view to the public. Once again, I say thank you very much.
Thank you too. Well, we will see you again tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Kayode Kikiolu.
And I'm Ayo Makide. Have a wonderful day.